Sio Osewa Nagadiwa. My name is Choogie Kingfisher. I am a Cherokee National Treasure for Storytelling, and we're here in Tahlequah, Oklahoma at the Cherokee National Prison Museum. So we are going to share today a story about how Rabbit tricked the coyote. One day as G-Stu was walking along, he was enjoying the beautiful breeze, and all of a sudden his stomach began to growl. He grabbed his stomach. He said, "Oh my goodness, I gotta find me something to eat." So he began to look on the ground. All he saw were dirt and rocks. I can't make anything out of that. So he continued down the path and trying to think about how beautiful that day was, and again his stomach began to growl. Again, he grabbed his stomach. He said, I gotta find me something to eat. And so he began to look into the trees, but all he saw were leaves and sticks. I can't make anything out of that either. So the rabbit, he continued down the path trying to find something to eat. And he was just so distraught that he began to cry and feel sorry for himself. He was crying so hard that when he came to the edge of a large pond, he sat down beside the pond and he began to cry. And as he began to cry, he heard a splash there in the water. As he looked out, he saw a fish jump up. "Oh my goodness," said the rabbit. "If I could swim, I would jump in that water and I would catch that fish right there." As the fish dove back into the water, the rabbit began to look, and there he saw all of these huge fish. He said, "Oh my goodness, but I'm not a very good swimmer," said the rabbit, "and I would rather starve to death than drown." And he sat down and he began to cry again. As he was throwing his little fit, he heard another splash. And when he looked up, he was expecting to see another fish jumping out of the water. And as he looked out across the pond, there on the other side was Coyote. Now Coyote, he was a pretty smart guy. He had made himself a fishing pole, and the splash that rabbit heard was Coyote pulling out a very large fish. Rabbit jumped up and said, hey, old man Coyote, let me have that one, and you can catch you another one." Old man Coyote pretended he didn't hear him, reached down, grabbed the fish, and took it off the hook. Rabbit, he continued to jump and scream and yell at the coyote, but the coyote paid him no mind as he reached into the water and pulled out this very large stringer of fish, put the last one on and threw them over his back and took off walking down the path. Rabbit, he was very upset because, that old man, he just doesn't know how to share. So Rabbit, he began to think about it. He said, "You know what? I think I'm going to take all his fish. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trick him out of every one of them." And so the rabbit, he began to run around the edge of the pond. He ran way ahead of the coyote, and he laid down in the path, and he pretended to be dead. And along came the coyote. The coyote saw the rabbit lying there and said, "Hey, look at there. There's a dead rabbit. Oh my goodness. If I take this rabbit home, I can have a good rabbit soup. Oh my goodness, that would be so good." And as the coyote reached down to pick up the rabbit, the fish slid off of his shoulders. He said, "Wait a minute. I worked very hard to catch all of these fish. Rabbit, today is your lucky day. I'm going to leave you here for somebody else." And he stepped over the rabbit and he kept walking. When Coyote was out of sight, the rabbit jumped up. He said, "All I need him to do is set those fish down one time and they're mine. I'm going to try it again." So he took off running through the woods as fast as he could, got way ahead of the coyote, and laid down in the path, and he pretended to be dead. And along came the coyote. The coyote saw the rabbit lying there and said, "Hey, look at there. There's another dead rabbit. Oh, that rabbit, he looks delicious, and if I take this rabbit home, I could make a good rabbit soup and cornbread, and oh my goodness." Oh, but I've worked so hard catching all of these fish. I'm going to leave this rabbit here for somebody else. And he stepped over the rabbit and he kept walking. Rabbit was determined. He jumped up and took off running through the woods as fast as he could. Got way ahead of the coyote and he laid down in the path and he pretended to be dead. And along came the coyote. Hey, look over there. There's another dead rabbit. Oh my goodness, these rabbits, they're just dying everywhere today. You know what? I think Creator is telling me I need to have rabbit soup tonight. Yeah, that's what he's telling me. He's telling me to save my fish for another day. Oh my goodness, I'm such a smart guy. And as they put the fish down, he reached down to pick up that dead rabbit. And he stood up, he said, wait, this is just one dead rabbit. There's 2 more dead rabbits back there. That's 3 rabbits in my soup. Oh my goodness, I'm going to eat like a king. He turned to get the other 2 dead rabbits. We all know there weren't 2 dead rabbits. We all know there wasn't even 1 dead rabbit. The rabbit jumped up, grabbed the fish, and took off running with a whoop. Woo-hoo! And the coyote turned around. He said, hey, you got my fish. And he took off running after him. Now my grandpa, my Duda, he used to tell me, he said, Chooge, he said, if you ever see a rabbit come running by you, shoom, stop and wait. I said, how come, Duda? He said, because coyote might be chasing after him, trying to get his fish back. At least that's what my Duda used to tell me. Thank you. What else?